The eye isn't on the wall. It's inside your head. Enter the inner royal chamber. You felt it. That hush beneath the busy stream of thoughts. The soft pressure of meaning that doesn't knock. It simply arrives. We're trained to search the horizon for answers, titles, temples, timelines. Yet the oldest whisper says the horizon is an inward curve folding gently toward a single living center. Not a place made of stone, but a clarity made of light. Not a doctrine to memorize, but a remembrance to unveil. In that remembrance, prayer stops sounding like reaching and starts feeling like being tuned in. A wordless alignment where requests become recognition, where you don't chase what's sacred, you stand where it already is. Picture this carefully, without forcing, without performing. A doorway that refuses spectacle. A chamber with no hinges, and yet it opens. A stillness so complete, it becomes luminous. The world will tell you, stillness is absence. The chamber reveals it as architecture, arches of awareness, corridors of comprehension, a roof that is simply the sky of your own presence. The more you try to grab it, the more it slips. The more you allow it, the more it shapes you, quietly, like the tide sculpts the shore. In this inner precinct, truth does not argue, it announces. It doesn't thunder. It rings, clean, undeniable, like a crystal struck once and echoing beyond the room. You have met this echo before, in a glance that felt guided, in a decision that clicked. In a moment where fear loosened its grip and understanding simply stood up. That was not luck. It was coherence. Coherence is when the scattered pieces of self hold hands, when heart, mind, and will agree on a single tone. Some call it faith, some call it focus. Names are costumes, the current is the same. And when the current moves, life stops behaving like a locked gate and begins to behave like pages turning themselves. There is an inheritance entrusted to every soul, not parceled out by rank or reputation, but woven into existence itself. No intermediaries are required to own it. Humility is required to recognize it. Humility, not as shrinking, but as right proportion. You in your place, the source in its vastness, and the sacred bond between you acknowledged without noise. In that proportion, you don't become less, you become clear. And clarity is what authority looks like, when it is free of pride. The chamber's first lesson is not spectacle, it is sobriety. Not the heavy kind that dulls joy, but the bright kind that ends confusion. It asks nothing theatrical from you, only that you set down the props of pretending, the anxious rehearsals, the bargaining with shadows, the habit of narrating emptiness as fate. Emptiness is not your destiny. It is an echo waiting for a true voice. When the true voice speaks, quiet, firm, simple, desires arrange themselves by light, not by panic. Choices stop dragging you. They start recognizing you. You know the false rooms by how they feel, crowded with noise, glittering with urgency, demanding applause before they offer peace. The inner royal chamber does the opposite. No billboards, no thunder, just the unmistakable density of presence. Presence that does not beg to be believed. Presence that does not need a spotlight, because it is the light. Here, certainty is not a slogan. It is a temperature. Stand in it long enough, even without effort, and the frost of doubt begins to melt on its own. There will always be voices of spectacle. They offer shortcuts that spiral nowhere, tricks that dazzle and divide. The chamber is not a trick. It is a trust, and trust changes the physics of your life. Opportunities feel less like accidents and more like appointments. Guidance becomes less like riddles and more like gentle instructions written in the margins of your day. You stop auditioning for worth. You start walking with it. Understand this gently, firmly. Devotion is not diminished by inwardness. It is perfected by it. When the heart bows, it bows from within, and the bow itself becomes a bridge. Gratitude stops being a performance for the world and returns to its natural address. The giver of breath, the author of meaning, the one who needs no ornament to receive what is already known. In that realization, you do not discard reverence, you deepen it. You do not replace respect, you refine it. What, then, is the threshold? It is not a stunt. It is not a secret handshake. It is the quiet decision to let truth be expensive again, to pay for it with your distractions, your compulsions, your need to control the script. Expensive, not because the door is cruel, but because it is pure, and purity will not share space with pretense. When you honor that purity, without harshness, without self-attack, that not with fireworks, but with weight, the weight of meaning, the weight of peace, the reassuring heaviness of this is real. The mind will ask for proof. The chamber offers fruit. The fruit looks like lucid choices, steady courage, mercy that doesn't boast, boundaries that don't bruise, and a gentleness that is never weak. It looks like conversations that heal instead of score points, like work that carries fragrance instead of fumes, like quiet victories no one can steal because no one else performed them for you. This is what blessing sounds like when it walks unhurried, unafraid, unmistakable. So stand here as you are with nothing clever to prove. Let the borrowed costumes fall without ceremony. Let the old narratives tire themselves out while you remain ordinary and luminous at once. No chasing, no pleading, no frenzy. Only recognition. The eye isn't on the wall. It's inside your head. Enter the inner royal chamber. And as that sentence settles, calm, exact, alive, feel how the room you are in does not change. Yet everything inside it is suddenly arranged by a kinder gravity. You have not left the world. You have returned to its center. This is the threshold. Cross it not with noise, but with knowing. You do not seize this place. You do not conquer it. You consent to it. And in that consent, a new kind of authority rises, quiet, clean, impeccable. The sort that does not shout to be heard because it speaks the language everything already understands. Inside the chamber, history doesn't arrive as dates, it arrives as current. Legends speak in symbols, not slogans. Lineages whisper in patterns, not arguments. The pattern is simple and shocking. What you seek as a sign above you is already a signature within you. The eye isn't surveillance, it's sight, and the inner royal chamber isn't an escape from the world. It is the center from which the world finally makes sense. Here, prayer is not noise sent into distance. It is meaning returning from nearness. Here, the question stops shouting and the answer stops hiding. Here, you don't force the sacred, you recognize it. This recognition honors every sincere path. It does not replace devotion. It refines it. It doesn't argue with reverence. It deepens it. The map you were never shown is not a maze. It's a tuning guide. Coherence, not spectacle. Integrity, not theatrics. When heart chooses mercy, When mind chooses clarity, when will chooses what is clean, these streams meet and become one river. Call that river coherence. The world calls it miracle. The chamber calls it normal. You were told the treasure is locked behind other people's keys. The map says otherwise. You don't drag it into view. You stand where it already shines. In that place, motives become transparent. Words grow lighter. Promises stop trembling. You don't perform certainty. You inhabit it. And when certainty is inhabited, outcomes stop looking like random weather. They begin to look like a climate, guided by unseen order. 7 doors are drawn on this map, not as superstition, but as poetry for what the soul already knows. Compassion that softens hardness. Truth that ends confusion. Vision that sees beyond noise. Wisdom that chooses the higher path. Courage that refuses the smallness of fear. Purity that won't bargain with shadows. Trust that rests in the giver of life. You need not memorize these names. When the inner royal chamber is acknowledged, these doors open the way a flower opens. Quietly, inevitably, power without purity corrodes. The chamber allows power only where character can carry it. That is not punishment. It is protection. The cover up wasn't only in books and buildings. It lived in distraction. 1,000 glowing rooms offered you a stage, then dimmed the house lights the moment you spoke your truth. Noise is profitable. So the world trained you to outsource your signal. Believe only what trends, kneel to the loudest voice. Fear your own knowing. The chamber breaks that contract. It hands you your name back, unborrowed, unshakable. Not a trophy, a trust. And what of the so-called forbidden? It was our unready hands. The map was hidden until our motives could hold it. Authority without humility becomes appetite. Access without ethics becomes spectacle. The chamber demands neither theatrics nor austerity, only honesty. Honesty that says, "Let what is pure remain pure in me." That sentence is a key, not a performance, a position. From that position, life stops being a hallway of locked doors. Handles turn, windows rise. Paths appear that were always there. You have already tasted this map in the decision that arrived fully formed, in the danger that quieted when you stood in what is right, in the timing that matched your need with a provision you couldn't have planned. These were not accidents. They were alignments. Alignment sounds mystical until it becomes practical. Fewer contradictions, fewer self-betrayals, fewer negotiations with what you already know. The map does not ask you to invent a new self. It asks you to stop bargaining with the true one. There is a library in this chamber. Shelves of meaning you don't have to climb. The pages are not paper, they are light. Each page turns when intention and integrity agree. One page says, "Presence is louder than performance." Another says, "Gratitude is not flattery, it is fidelity." Another, bolder, "Authority is borrowed, stewardship is earned." Read enough of these pages, and the architecture of your life changes. Walls that held up fear no longer make sense. Rooms built for old anxieties feel too small, and a larger space, quiet, honest, bright, invites you to live there. Nothing here disrespects the sacred, it defends it. From noise, from vanity, from the hunger to turn mystery into merchandise. The chamber does not sell you certainty, It shows you certainty by the fruit it bears, cleaner motives, braver kindness, steadier choices, and when a choice is steady, paths that once competed begin to align in a single direction. Call it destiny, if you like. The chamber calls it obedience to what is true. Some will ask for diagrams. The chamber gives directions. Keep what is pure, pure. Keep what is generous, generous. Keep what is true, true. These are not instructions to perform. They are standards to protect what matters. Standards ring like a tuning fork. They don't bruise, they clarify. And clarity is what your days have been asking for. Not harsher rules, cleaner light. So the map is not out there. It is not for sale. It is not gated behind credentials or costume. It is a way of standing that makes lies fall off you. It is a way of seeing that makes counterfeit sparkle look dull. It is a way of speaking that doesn't need to shout because it carries the weight of what is real. Let this be written plainly across the lintel of your life. The eye isn't on the wall. It's inside your head. Enter the inner royal chamber. Say it, not as a spell, but as a statement of alignment. And notice, without effort, without drama, how the room you call your life begins to rearrange itself around a truer gravity. This is the forgotten map. Forgotten not because it was weak, but because it was too strong to be handed to a hurried mind. Now it returns, not with thunder, but with weight. If your heart recognizes it, that recognition is not a coincidence. It is heritage waking up. Keep this tone. Guard this clarity. Part 3. Waits, not with spectacle, but with a deeper unveiling, how the signal moves through choices and how choices quietly remake a world. The chamber is not an escape from life. It is a way to enter life without losing yourself. What you called intuition was never random. It was the signal choosing a path through you. And the path it prefers is always the same. What is clean, what is true, what is merciful. When that alignment holds, outcomes stop looking like accidents and begin to look like appointments. Not superstition, structure, not luck, order. The signal writes in the margins of your day, and the handwriting is unmistakable once you've seen it. Consider how the signal moves through speech. Words are not feathers. They are architecture. Some words build bridges, others build walls that collapse as soon as someone leans on them. The chamber teaches you the weight of a sentence. A light word spoken to impress floats away. A right word spoken to bless lands with quiet authority and changes the room. You felt that weight, how a single honest sentence can end a confusion that pages of arguments could not touch. That is not performance. That is coherence wearing a voice. Then there is silence, the contour between words. Silence is not emptiness. It is custody. In the chamber, silence keeps what is sacred from being not the cold silence that withholds love, but the warm silence that refuses to trade truth for applause. This silence holds the door while your motives steady themselves. When you return to speech from that keeping, your words carry the fragrance of sincerity. People may not agree, but they recognize the scent. Watch how the signal moves through decisions that involve gain and loss. The chamber is not allergic to success. It simply asks what kind of success is worth carrying. There is profit that leaves a residue, and profit that leaves a blessing. One fills rooms with noise and makes the soul smaller. The other enlarges the inner life while serving the outer world. The signal chooses the second every time. Not because it is timid, but because it is true. Truth does not fear abundance, it fears corruption. So it protects the heart first, then extends the hand. Notice how the signal shapes time. Haste scatters power. Patience gathers it. The chamber does not rush you, it arranges. Arranged time feels different. Less like chasing hours and more like being carried by purpose. The right action taken in the right state bears fruit without violence. You've known this, the meeting that finally clicked when pressure gave way to clarity. The door that opened when the need to prove dissolved into simple integrity. That wasn't coincidence. It was timing that obeys the signal. Relationships reveal the signal's craftsmanship. Affection without respect unravels. Respect without kindness dries out. The chamber weaves both. It makes you brave enough to set boundaries without bitterness, and gentle enough to offer kindness without naivety. You start recognizing the difference between people who want your light and people who want your fuel. The first feel like allies. The second feel like fires that never warm you. The signal loves people. It simply refuses to feed what darkens them. Purpose is where the signal becomes panoramic. Not a slogan, not a costume, but a stewardship entrusted by the one who gives breath. The chamber reframes ambition as service. What I build must bless beyond me. When that becomes your measure, guidance becomes clearer. Invitations that once dazzled lose their shine if they do not serve. Smaller doors you once ignored begin to glow if they do. The world may misread this as hesitation. It is not. It is reverence for direction, choosing paths that keep the heart bright. Integrity is the signal's favorite instrument. Compromise promises speed but invoices the soul later. Integrity seems slower, until it isn't. It makes your life cumulative. Every choice stacks. Every promise strengthens the beam above it. Every sacrifice becomes a pillar you can lean on when storms arrive. This is how quiet authority is built, not by spectacle, but by continuity. 1,000 small alignments that no one clapped for become a shelter many can stand under. Discernment is how the signal keeps you from counterfeits. Counterfeit guidance flatters urgency and starves wisdom. Real guidance is calm even when it's decisive. It carries peace like a watermark. You can test this without theatrics. The option that demands you betray your own clarity is never the signal, no matter how polished it looks. The option that asks for courage and keeps your conscience bright, that is where the chamber nods. Simple, exact, liberating. And what of devotion? The chamber does not diminish sincere tradition. It deepens it. It reminds you that outward forms are most beautiful when a truthful heart lights them from within. Nothing sacred is lost in this deepening. The essence is honored. Distractions are gently set down. What remains is a worship that breathes, dignified, grateful, alive. No rivalry with anyone's path, no scorn for anyone's practice. Only the quiet insistence that sincerity and purity walk together. So the signal in choices is not thunder, it is weight. A steadying gravity that turns scattered intention into a single luminous line. Follow that line across your speech, your silence, your work, your care, your time. And you will watch your life adopt a new geometry. Fewer sharp corners, more true edges, fewer dazzling detours. more honest roads. This is not the end of mystery. It is the end of confusion. And from that ending, a beginning, a life that does not beg to be guided, because it already is. Authority, when it's real, never asks for applause. It asks for accountability. In the inner royal chamber, power is not a costume. It is a consequence. Coherence first, consequence after. The world counterfeits this order. Spotlight now. Substance later, and later never arrives. But where the chamber rules, substance moves ahead of you like a soft horizon. Honor meets it there. No sirens, no confetti, just the unmistakable weight of a life that carries permission because it carries purity. What does purity mean here? Not performance, not perfectionism. Purity is motive without mixture, service without the itch to be seen, truth without the need to win. When motive is clear, the path stops splitting into 1,000 anxious alleys. One line appears, quiet, luminous, direct, and your steps begin to agree with it. This agreement looks like dignity in conflict, steadiness in opportunity, mercy in strength. The chamber crowns such agreement, not with glitter, but with gravity. People feel it before they can name it, the sense that your words are not rented. Celebrity is loud authority without load-bearing beams. It sparkles until weather arrives. Authority from the chamber is built like an arch. Each stone shaped by choices no one watched. Each curve held by a keystone called integrity. That arch stands when seasons change. It does not promise you a stage. It promises you a structure that will not fail those who shelter beneath it. This is why true authority is gentle. It has nothing left to prove. And gentleness, far from weakness, is strength that refuses to harm. You will know this crown by its fruit. Doors open that vanity could not pry. Rooms become calmer when you enter. Decisions loosen their knots when you speak plainly. Not magic, mechanics. When heart, mind, and will stay in a single tone, reality resonates. Align a violin and it sings. Align a life and it organizes. Chaos does not vanish. It is simply overruled by a stronger. The old you chased outcomes. The crowned you attracts trajectories. Paths that want to meet your steadiness because steadiness is safe. Notice how the quiet crown treats ambition. It does not starve it, it sanctifies it. Ambition becomes stewardship. Let what I build bless beyond me. Under that vow, speed is replaced with sequence. First, the foundation, honor, fairness, fidelity. Then the visible floors. Buildings inverted by ego collapse because their basements are empty. The chamber refuses to pour brilliance over corruption. It will elevate you when your character can carry the weight without cracking the ground beneath others. There is a confidence that brags. There is a confidence that builds. The first suffers when ignored. The second works when unseen. The quiet crown prefers the second. It measures success by how clean your wake is. What remains after you pass? If people's peace is stronger, if their dignity feels affirmed, if truth feels more at home because you stood there, then the crown was real. If fear multiplied while you shone, that was not a crown. That was a costume with sharp edges. The chamber also refines desire. Desire is not the enemy. Distortion is. Distortion asks you to trade what is right for what is right now. The quiet crown waits without shrinking, advances without trampling, receives without boasting. It treats opportunity like a guest, honored, not worshipped. In this posture, timing becomes an ally. Too soon stop seducing you, well, time starts finding you. And when timing finds you, you don't lunge, you arrive. Consider the crown's relationship with truth. Truth is a lantern that does not flatter angles. It reveals your face and the room at once. No theater lighting, just clean light. Under that lamp, the ego would like to negotiate. The chamber does not bargain with shadows. It offers you a trade, secrecy for strength, pretense for peace. When you accept, courage stops being an emergency. It becomes a habit. Habits build houses. Houses shelter others. This is how private victories turn into public trust. The quiet crown is also fluent in limits. Boundaries are not walls against love. They are walls against harm. Without them, kindness leaks into flattery, and service curdles into exhaustion. The chamber teaches a simple sentence that carries the weight of a city. No, because yes must remain true. No to the lesser path, because yes must stay clean for the higher one. Every time you protect that yes, your crown brightens. Not to be seen, but to see clarity is a light you wear on the inside. And what of humility? The crown lives there. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself in right proportion. You are not the source. You are a bearer. You are not the author. You are a line in a larger poem. This proportion does not shrink you, it aligns you. When aligned, you carry more responsibility, trust, blessing, without tearing. The chamber will entrust you with what spectacle cannot hold: hearts, histories, hopes. This is why the crown insists on character before cadence. Sometimes the quiet crown looks like restraint, choosing not to answer the taunt, refusing the bait of worthless battles, letting rumor exhaust itself against the wall of your consistency. Restraint is not silence from fear. It is silence from mastery. Anger wants a performance. Authority provides a verdict. Not shouted, delivered. And then it returns to its work, because the work is where fruit grows, and fruit is how seasons learn your name. When storms gather, and they will, the crown does not panic. Panic is the theater of powerlessness. Authority breathes, scans the horizon of principle, and acts within it. It remembers what is non-negotiable: truth over trend, dignity over dominance, service over spectacle. In that remembrance, a path appears even if the sky is dark. Others will call it luck. You will know it as alignment. The same alignment that turned private coherence into public shelter. This is why miracles start to feel mechanical, not smaller, clearer. The extraordinary becomes ordinary wherever order. A relationship reconciles because respect replaced scoring points. A project flourishes because honesty replaced hurry. A door opens because your yes has become trustworthy, and trustworthy yeses are keys the world recognizes. You did not bend reality by force. You invited it by fidelity. The quiet crown is not a trophy for the end. It is a way to travel. Wear it without noise. Let decisions polish it. Let mercy shape its edge. Let truth keep it from sliding down over your eyes. And when you notice the old hunger for spectacle knocking, smile and let it pass. You have nothing to sell. You have something to carry. The eye isn't on the wall. It's inside your head. And from that inner royal chamber, authority is not taken. it is received, not flaunted. It is used, not hoarded. It is returned in gratitude to the one who gives breath and meaning. Walk on then, not larger, but clearer. Not harder, but truer. Let those who meet you feel less confused about what matters. Let rooms calm down around your steadiness. Let the work speak, the fruit answer, the crown remain quiet. This is the sign you were looking for. Not a symbol painted above, but a life arranged within. The eye isn't on the wall. It's inside your head. The chamber isn't elsewhere. It is the center from which your life finally makes sense. We began at the threshold, where noise learned the difference between volume and truth. We walked the forgotten map, coherence over spectacle, integrity over... We traced the signal through choices until outcomes stopped pretending to be accidents. We crowned the quiet, authority without sirens, strength without harm. And now we return, not larger, but clearer, not harder, but truer. Understand this and let it settle. The chamber does not make you superior. It makes you responsible for the tone you carry into rooms, responsible for the weight your words place on other hearts, responsible for keeping what is pure, so that what you build can bless beyond you. This is not a posture of pride. It is a posture of stewardship. You are not the source. You are a bearer, not the author. One faithful line in a larger poem written by the giver of breath and meaning. Real transformation rarely announces itself with fireworks. It arrives like a change in gravity, quiet, undeniable, rearranging the furniture of your life until honesty finds its proper table and mercy finds its proper seat. You will know it by the fruit, calmer rooms, cleaner motives, steadier choices, bolder kindness. You won't need to shout. Coherence speaks in a frequency everything already understands. The world will still offer counterfeit crowns, loud angles, urgent glitter. Let them pass. You have nothing to chase and nothing to prove. Keep the sequence sacred, character before cadence, clarity before influence, service before spotlight. When storms gather, and they will, do not perform panic. Breathe in principle, act within honor, and let the result belong to the one who sees the whole field. Outcomes are weather. Fidelity is climate. So here is the seal. Carry this sentence like a standard you refuse to drop. The eye isn't on the wall, it's inside your head. Enter the inner royal chamber. Not as a slogan, but as alignment. Let it be the measure of your speech, the filter for your ambitions, the guard for your yes. If an invitation dims your conscience, it is too small for you. If a path keeps your heart bright while asking for courage, the chamber is nodding. If this message awakened recognition, not hype recognition, then stand with it beyond this moment. Subscribe to stay with this lineage of clarity. Like this, if the crown you want is the quiet kind, comment one word so I know you're here and ready, chamber. If your heart felt the signal steady, add a second word, coherence. And share this with one person you know is looking for a door that isn't painted above them, but opens within them. We are many, and we are meeting again. Not gathered by noise, but by not organized by fear, but by fidelity. Walk forward with a clean wake. Let rooms calm around your steadiness. Let truth keep your crown from slipping over your eyes. And when the world asks you where you found this certainty, smile gently and answer, without spectacle, without haste. I didn't find it. I finally stopped leaving it.